Welcome to the Stoic Responder Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Healy. As a special agent who spent more than 15 years conducting large-scale fraud, money laundering, and public corruption investigations, Stoic philosophy provided a mindset edge that became the foundation of my professional success. My mission today is to share those same ancient mindset lessons with you so that you can turn obstacles into opportunities and adversity into advantage. Time to muster up. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoic Responder Podcast. This is episode 108, Call Forth Your Best. Folks, as I have been mentioning this week, number one, if you're looking for a Christmas gift, great way to get somebody that you love involved in Stoicism and give them a taste of this philosophy is to pick up a copy of In Valor 365 Stoic Meditations for First Responders. Now, you don't have to be a first responder to use this book, to learn from this book, to turn this book into a daily tool that you use to get some mindset medicine, to get some Stoic quotes out there, to get some integration, some modern context for those lessons, and then some journal prompts and action items that help you really lean into the lesson. You can do that whether you are a law enforcement officer, first responder, or not. This book is written from the perspective of a career law enforcement officer. It's written with people in that career in mind, but it's certainly not limited. So if you're interested in picking up a copy, you can get it on Barnes & Noble, on Amazon, on Walmart, on Apple Books, or you can reach out to me personally, and I can get a signed and personalized copy out to you or your loved one pretty easily and pretty quickly, so long as you reach out to me no later than the end of next week. So we're talking right now, it's the week of December 2nd. Next week is the week of December 9th. So long as you reach out to me before whatever that is, I think the 14th or 15th, whatever the end of next week is, I should be able to get it in the mail and have it to you in time for Christmas. After that, no guarantees. Going to be on the road, going to be taking off some time with the family to go enjoy Christmas. So I may not be able to get it out in time for Christmas if you don't reach out to me before the end of next week. But I would love to send you a copy of In Valor 365 Stoic Meditations for First Responders if you are looking for a gift for that Stoic or Stoicism lover in your life. All right, moving forward with today's show. Let me start you out with a quote from Epictetus. As I said, the title of this one is Call Forth Your Best, and you're going to catch exactly what that reference is here in a second. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. So listen, folks, whether it's in your personal life or in your career, the behavior you accept becomes a baseline for what is acceptable behavior. What you accept becomes acceptable. This isn't hard. Our relationships, our social interactions have profound influence on our personal growth and on our well-being. So by surrounding ourselves with individuals who embody virtues such as kindness, wisdom, integrity, we create a supportive and nurturing environment that fosters our own development and our own improvement. So what do you think happens when you surround yourself with the opposite? Nothing good, right? Our agency, our workplace may be full of malcontents, maybe full of shirkers, maybe full of the kind of people that just are never going to be satisfied. We all know there's agencies like that. Secret Service. It's just to name one. Full of malcontents, full of people who are just chronically unhappy, and that may be your workplace. But that doesn't mean that we have to accept their behavior or keep their company, right? Just because the people around you are chronically discontent, malcontent, unhappy, doesn't mean that you have to be as well. Rather, we can actively seek out and nurture other relationships that are going to do the opposite. They're going to nurture and uplift us instead of dragging us into that cycle. Again, just because they're around you doesn't mean that you have to become them, right? You can create a different circle around yourself. Truth is, we're going to rise or we're going to fall to the level of our circle. So when we surround ourselves with those who inspire us to be our best selves, we typically create a network of support and mutual growth that enriches our lives and enhances our sense of purpose, our sense of fulfillment. When we do the opposite, when we surround ourselves with laggards, with layabouts, with shirkers, with malcontents, we end up lowering ourselves to their level. We become one of them. And to circle back, when we accept that, that behavior becomes acceptable. We must never, ever, ever let that become acceptable. We've all been there, guys. We've all been in that workplace. We've all had that group of people around us that are chronically upset, that bitch and moan about everything, that never do the job the way they were intended to, that always think the world is out to get them. And it can be very, very tempting to get sucked into that, especially if you're unhappy, if you're a little bit malcontent at work. You can get sucked into that pretty easily. Don't. Be clear. Create clear, bright lines. Someone else's attitude doesn't have to infect you. Someone's attitude can affect you or it can infect you. Don't let someone's bad attitude infect you. Be conscious of who you surround yourself with. As Epictetus says, the key is to keep company only with those who uplift you, those whose presence calls forth your best. Think about your circle. Here's the journal prompt I want to leave you with. Who is in my circle? Are they pulling me up or are they pulling me down? Because they're going to pull you in one direction. I think a lot about that analogy that we've all heard about the bucket of crabs. If you've ever seen a bucket of crabs, you don't even have to put a lid on a bucket of crabs because crabs aren't getting out of the bucket. The reason they're not getting out of the bucket is every time one starts to climb too high, the other crabs pull it back down. They do not let someone get out of the bucket. This was a particularly true thing when I lived in the Rio Grande Valley. I saw this all the time. You would see very smart individuals, people who had all the ability in the world, who could have gotten into any university they wanted to, gone to any university they wanted to, who wouldn't leave home. And they wouldn't leave home not because they didn't have ambition or they didn't have the smarts or intelligence to go somewhere and pursue an advanced degree in some, field that they were interested in. They would get pulled back down into the bucket by those who didn't have that level of smarts, that level of ambition. And they would end up staying around in the Rio Grande Valley, not pursuing what could have been a whole new life, a whole new world, a whole new career. Because there is a culture that says, oh, you think you're better than us. And you get pulled back in just like that bucket of crabs. You see this in a lot of small towns. My wife and I were talking about this weekend. She came from a small town in the Rio Grande Valley. She did go off, got a college degree, moved home after college, was working, but she came from a very middle-class family. In fact, middle class might be pushing it. Sometimes they were really struggling to get by when she was young. And so she became sort of typecast, and she kind of got placed in this box, this box that said, you are this in this small town. And when you start to rise above that, the whispers start and the talk starts. And as my wife's businesses grew and as she became more successful in her own right, as she eventually moved away from the valley, the whispers grew louder. And she was laughingly saying, she said, I know it's inconvenient for them that had typecast me. I know it's inconvenient for them that I am no longer what they said I had to be, that I am no longer a product of the environment that I came from, that I have grown beyond that I have expanded beyond the box that I was placed in, that I have grown wealthy and successful of my own right. I know it's inconvenient for the narrative that they've created because that narrative impacts not only the person they're talking about, but the person doing the talking. Because everybody in this small town has to play their roles, right? It upsets the apple cart when somebody rises above their station. It's the same thing among your circle of friends. If you surround yourself with people like that, they will do everything they can to be the crab that pulls you back into the bucket. When we hang around with people with a bad attitude, when we work and surround ourselves at work with people with that bad attitude, we lower ourselves to that standard. And that, my friends, is never acceptable. So the key here, as Epictetus says, is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. So ask yourself today, here's your journal prompt again, who is in my circle? Are they pulling me up or are they pulling me down. If you want to be around people whose behavior is acceptable, stop accepting the unacceptable. All right, folks. As I said at the beginning, if you want a copy of my book, In Valor, 365 Stoic Meditations for First Responders as a Christmas gift, just reach out to me and we can make that happen. I can accept payment via any of those fun digital platforms out there, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Square. We got it all over here at Team Healy headquarters, so let me know, and I will get a signed and personalized copy off to you ASAP to get that thing under the Christmas tree. In the meanwhile, do me a favor, go over to thestoicresponder.substack.com and put your email address in and sign up for a free account so that you can receive this podcast in your email 4 times a week. We're going to be shifting the entire operation over to Substack after the new year. And I just want to make sure that anybody who's listening or subscribing to this podcast doesn't miss out on any episodes as we make that transition from hosting with Libsyn to hosting with Substack. So get on over to the stoicresponder.substack.com, sign up today, and you will not miss any of these episodes coming up. So folks, I got, I think, one more for you this week, and then we are going to be gone for the weekend. Get out there, live your lives with valor, and until tomorrow, you are out of roll. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe, like, rate, and share this podcast so that we can spread the benefits of Stoicism to other first responders. It will only take you a few moments, but it can help us tremendously. Until next time, out of roll.